A very good evening and welcome to this edition of the Fourth Estate. Charles Mongu Shampagi. And tonight, we'll be turning attention to parties in the political opposition. Apparently, they appear to be in turmoil. We've seen over the last week the President General of the Democratic Party, Norbert Mao, coming out to defend the party and explain things about what's happening in the party. The Forum for Democratic Change is yet, or we don't know, will it actually recover from the fallout of the elections for the East African Legislative Assembly, where the two candidates the party presented both lost the election, but left the party structure significantly fractured. Also, the Ghana People's Congress, we will be continuing to ask questions, especially about its relationship with the ruling National Resistance Movement. To discuss that with me tonight, let me introduce my colleague Onapito Ekomoloit, Corporate Affairs Director, now is SAB Miller. No, sorry, AB InBev. I keep forgetting. AB InBev.
Yes, good evening, Charles, and good evening, viewers.
I've been a little disciplined on that, but I think I slipped today. So,
no problem.
But nice to have you here. We have from Jinja Municipality East, that's still the constituency, Paul Muiru. He's a former member of parliament, but it's something interesting. Paul Muiru actually petitioned and won his petition challenging the person who defeated him. And he was declared member of parliament. He should have just been handed over. He just talked into parliament and sworn in. But his opponent appealed, and so he is still waiting the court process and effectively still former member of parliament for Jinja Municipality East and deputy spokesperson of the Forum for Democratic Change. Very nice to have you.
So what happens when if he wins the appeal? Will he get the arrears?
That is a good one. Thank you and good evening, listeners. Of course, when you win the appeal, our judicial system is so frustrating in a way that even someone who acts outside the law, now he has to earn for that period as and when he's in parliament. I think to our you people who enacted Section 95 of the Parliamentary Elections Act, which makes people stay in parliament technically. Of course, like I saw when they gave them money for the cars, and some of them have been removed already. So that will be a negatory expenditure on the part of government. But I know this is Uganda.
But you will be paid yours, will you?
I think I will. Yes.
And he of course also bill for costs, and this is lost income. And Paul Muir is a lawyer, so
actually it doesn't extend to that, because you see in parliament they pay salary, and I'm not working there. They pay emoluments, which they don't accrue to me. So you start from the time you are a member of parliament.
So if they stretch you as long as possible, then your pain will be multiplied equally.
Actually, to me, people look at money per se, but see it is more about service than even the money itself.
Yeah, and I think in terms of money, Yorkshire don't look badly off. So it must be.
Outside of parliament.
He's just itching to come and serve the people.
We'll be questioning that. Of course, my colleague Ivan Okuda is a journalist at the Daily Monitor and also a student at Makerere University Law School.
Thank you, Charles. Profoundly humbled, and very good evening to our viewers.
Let me start outside the with you, Ivan Okuda. You've been watching developments within the political opposition, and to just mention to our viewers that we did make an effort to bring in a more diverse representation on the show tonight, especially people with other different shades of opinion, but especially in the opposition, to come and explain to us exactly what's going on in the political parties. Recently, we've seen the NRM. I understand, and for a fact, that sections of members of parliament of the ruling National Resistance Movement, held meetings to mobilize support for some of the members of the opposition who eventually got elected to represent, to appear to represent political parties in the opposition in the regional assembly. The FDC, of course, there was what the FDC will claim was a ganging up against them by the NRM and the other parties, but of course it had also its significant internal problems. What explains what appears to be the turmoil in these opposition parties?
You know, Charles, if you a foreigner and entered the Daily Monitor, New Vision, the East African, Red Paper or Observer library and sat there for an entire day and read the stories that make it to the headlines, you would easily be forgiven for concluding that Uganda is possibly one of the most corrupt countries there is in the world. And if you similarly went and sat in Rwanda in a library of a leading newspaper there, or even Tanzania, or even Kenya, you would be forgiven for concluding that those countries are not as corrupt as, say, Uganda or any other country. Precisely the reason why you would make the other conclusion is partly because, with all the weaknesses we have in our governance platform, we still have a bare minimum reasonable level of freedom of the media to be able to report these things. So to connect that to what's happening in the opposition parties, the fact that you have all these contradictions playing out in the media, I think is healthy for democracy and is healthy for these parties, to the extent that it is a manifestation of the ability of leaders to agree, to disagree, without necessarily having bottled up anger, the kind of disagreements that you see in the national resistance movement. I was reading an article in the Sunday Vision this morning by Ofono Pondo, and he was taking taking on David Mafawi, who is a political assistant of the president, for coming hard on Audrey Kurabogo, who has been writing fairly critical articles about the regime and things that he thinks should be sorted. And his argument was, we have a challenge in NRM to the extent that it's almost sinful for you to voice an opinion in the public space which is seen to be critical of the president and the political party, and he thinks that it's dangerous, and I agree with him. So it's healthy, in my view, to have these contradictions. How the political parties manage them is the question of the day. And whether they have the capacity to manage those contradictions is the question of the day. I think the Forum for Democratic Change has seen more otherwise back-breaking contradictions. You saw the acrimony that accrued after the election of Nandala Malfawi and Mrisha Muntu.
I'm trying to locate the article you're referring to, because someone forwarded it to me earlier today. I think actually Mr. Chapaka Rahanga forwarded it to me.
Yes, over the party.
He's calling Ofono Pondo says NRM cadres should learn to be honest, and he says there is rising and understandable public discontent against NRM, which we must honestly deal with.
Yeah, so for me that's it's healthy.
Let me turn the same question to Honor. What you actually see is that these parties are not just having internal contradictions and they're debating them, they're actually shrinking in the face of a dominant ruling party. I mean, the EALA elections, for example, were just a microcosm of, I mean, one example of political parties allowing themselves to cede space by collaboration. So it's healthy for them.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by the squabbling within opposition. You know, when the NRM came to power over 30 years ago, it essentially killed political parties, you know, by law and then by action. And all attempts at opposition since then have represented departures from the NRM largely, and in the hope that the mainstream would collapse. But I think 20 years since you effectively started having elections where there was challenge of the mainstream, it's quite a long period, you know. They say a day in politics is too long, but imagine 20 years. It's quite a long, since 1996. So there is genuine frustration that people at every turn, at every election, have maybe wrongly hoped that the establishment would collapse and then there would be a change of control. But each passing elections, this has not happened. So you are likely to see people who, one may say, faint-hearted, or who really genuinely believe that elections should be about acquiring power. It shouldn't just be an idea about idealism. If it's not happening, somehow people need to find a way forward. So I think there are individual decisions being taken that what is really the future. And of course now there's also another interesting scenario whereby the future of the president is not clear. So some people think maybe this is an interesting point in which to get back to the bandwagon in case there is a constitutional compliance and is not in. Maybe you become...
Once you're on the inside, you have you stand a higher chance.
So these are the realities, you know. People are not operating in a vacuum.
Honorable Muiru, the FDC, from all we hear, is actually splitting right at the center. And much of that fallout, EALA elections just presented one window to look inside a party that has been fractured for long. You have an election coming up in November, and there is actually talk of a splinter group emerging out of the FDC.
Thank you. I think the problem, I think, starts with the media. You see, when you I am coming to that. When the journalists write, when you move the journalistic warfare and you look for facts about what they write about, more often than not, to me, I found them very scanty. It's good you have been saying from what you hear, you have decided to base on hearsay. I will give an example. First, even the misapplication of words. In some instances, you have been saying there is a storm. In others, you see, you see what actually has been happening in FDC. Actually, I want to say that we're on the right course, and those were turbulences. And I want to demonstrate this
turbulences
by turbulences.
I thought turbulence and storms are related.
You see the difference. A storm would bring about the violent change of atmosphere. And whereas the turbulence brings about unsteady change of atmosphere, which actually can be easily change of air, which actually can be easily overcome. Let me now give to our viewers a chronology of events. When you look at FDC, we have been growing. I want to just to make a comparison between, because with politics, there are no tangible performance indicators apart from, for instance, in a political party, we may have to look at results. I can talk about 2011. In the presidential general elections, we got 2 million votes if those figures are to go by, and in 2016, we got 3.5 million if the figures are anyway to go by. When you came to parliamentary, as we talk now, in the 2011, we had 37 members of parliament at the end of the term. That is even after these by-elections. But as we talk now, we have 36 members of parliament, plus the 2 independent leaning. That makes it 37, before even the election petitions actually are disposed of. When you come to the LOC5, in the previous 2011, we had 4 chairpersons of the district. Apparently, as we talk, we have 7.
Okay, I'm in the district.
We have 7. When you come, of course, I'm giving a comparison. When you come, let's say, let me take an example of Kampala. Maybe understand Kampala. In the previous, in the council LOC5, the mayorship of Kampala, we had 3 councillors. Today, actually, we are having 18 plus 1 who is FDC leaning. When you come to the divisions, we had 5 councillors in the division. Today we have 32. By and large, one would say that since the performance indicators for the growth of the party can be measured from that, yes, to me that shows that there is growth in that direction. However, there are challenges, and to me those challenges actually, yes, we call them contradictions. I'll start with Ivan. Ivan talked about the issues raised by my Secretary General, Honorable Nathan Nandala, after coming from that election. He raised issues. We start as a party. We resolve those issues. So the capacity.
You had a stormy meeting at the party. Didn't actually resolve the issues. That actually highlights that the party is significantly fractured from inside. And your role of numbers, Ivan.
Maybe I should first give. I know to get the chronology of events.
The chronology of events. You're throwing numbers around, and our viewers might get confused with the numbers. So let's deal with them as you throw them. Your numbers in Parliament, in the 10th Parliament, are fewer than you had in the 9th Parliament. Fact or fiction? False?
Fact.
Fact. Your numbers among local council 5 leaders.
Yes.
The numbers you rolled off, the 5 you had in the previous parliament, in the previous government, have increased. But what are they corresponding with the increase in the number of districts?
And for parliament, with the increase in the number of
constituencies.
And for the presidential election, with the increase in the number of voters.
Yes, I was coming to the challenges. For me, what I was showing you, I'll give an example of Kampala. The first Kampala, we had the other time we had 1, now we have 3. What we have been having in the party, what you call the very big contradiction. First, I showed you that when issues were raised within the party, FDC as a political party, we have mechanism to deal with the issues as they arise. Issues were raised internally, a committee was set up, we dealt with those issues. Actually, as we talk now, there may be sentiments which I'm going also to deal with, arise out of that, but at least as a party, the party organ sat, dealt with that issue. I want to come to the issue of EALA.
Maybe
before yes,
okay.
to the issue of EALA. Actually, in as far as we are concerned, there are no issues now arising out of EALA for one reason, that the party organ, the organ of the party, which is the National Executive Committee, sat and actually said we should have primaries. We had primaries where we had one candidate who emerged as a winner. Thereafter, the leaders were informed that, look, there is a possibility of having 2 slots arising out of the fact that the shade of opinion, which is the opposition in parliament, the official opposition, which is FDC, NEC again sat and said, look, I think this is, let us not lose this opportunity to actually we can seize these 2 slots. I am coming to that. You must understand facts.
You're giving us alternative facts.
No.
Kelly and Conway gave us a beautiful word, which is called alternative facts.
Yes.
And what you're presenting is alternative facts.
Yes.
You sent a name to Parliament
yes.
of Florence E.B. Ekwao
yes.
as the party candidate for EALA.
Yes.
Then somehow you forwarded a second name
yes.
of Ingrid Turinawe,
yes.
Kamateneti.
Yes.
Then the same political party you're saying was meeting and was seamless, writes a letter withdrawing Ingrid
yes.
from the race.
Yes.
The same party tells us, no, actually, the person who wrote that letter had no authority to write the letter.
Yes.
Someone else should, the Secretary General should have written.
Yes.
And I mean, yes, we're journalists, and you're saying we when you look behind, there isn't much. But we follow what's going on, and we're speaking to people inside your party. We're speaking to people after your summer meeting
yes.
at Najanakumbi the other day. The reason is Ingrid Turinawe belonged to one camp.
Yes.
E.B. Ekwao belonged to another camp.
Yes.
And actually, these things you're sharing out on your social media platforms.
Yes.
You as senior party members of your National Executive Committee, they're sharing what you're calling turbulences. Yes. We are calling them contradictions and a storm within the political, within the FDC. And you're not willing, you're wanting to paper over those.
No. Actually, you see, the beauty, you see, the mind and will of like a company. I want to do this distinction. Even if we went to Nile breweries, where my friend, a good friend Honorable Mlate is actually as the PRL, the publications officer. You see, you look for the mind of will of that organization. So for you to say, like even like in any political party.
So what you're doing is you're trying to do PR for the
No. Actually, what I'm informing you that FDC as an organization, it has a spokesperson of the organization, and it takes decision through the organs of the party. And that's why I was telling you that you see from what you have been, I was giving you facts of what transpired. Then from that, you can deduce whatever you want. Before you
giving facts of what is actually happening.
Let me share another fact. The president of your political party,
yes.
retired Major General Mugisha Muntu, was on this show.
Yes.
Was on NBS, was quoted in newspapers,
yes.
stating categorically a few hours before the election of the EALA candidates that the party has one candidate. And he actually admitted on air that the insistence by Ingrid and her supporters is a manifestation of internal challenges which would be handled. So essentially, General Mugisha Muntu watched his power as party president fly from his palms. Because Ingrid, to the extent that Ingrid was still on that ballot paper, essentially the party president had been rendered powerless.
You see,
after making several commitments to the media that there would only be one candidate. I think that is a contradiction you can't romanticize.
No. Actually, you see, any debate must be based on information. So as a fourth estate, you either choose to have the information or we engage the journalistic warfare. Because what am I telling you? I'm giving you what transpired. That our organs of the party took a decision to have one candidate. Later, the same organ took a decision to have two candidates on condition. It was a conditional acceptance that if it comes out very clear that we have two slots, it doesn't do any harm for the party to say that opportunity. So it so happened from Parliament that actually there was no chance of us having two slots. we came back to the party where there was a management meeting, which sat and actually said that, look, now there is purely one slot. Okay. So that meant that actually the conditional acceptance of 2 candidates now had to be honored by actually by Madame Ingrid, who was, because even as she was going, she knew that she did turn out to be that a moment that actually there is one slot. She did not. That's why Major General Mugisha Muntu called an internal challenge within the party. But even after EALA, there was a meeting, a NEC meeting. Yes, I'm coming to that. Let me conclude that. Yes, sure. Even after this, there was a meeting at Najana Nkundi, where as a party we sat and said, look, this happened. It shouldn't have happened in the first instance. So General Muntu accepted that according to the rules of Parliament, they say the Secretary General shall write. You understand?
No, you're mixing up things.
No, I'm not mixing up.
A quick one. Just a quick one before you take a break. Were you surprised, you as Paul Muiru and as a party, that Ingrid Kamateneti Turinawe turned up at Parliament on election day?
Was I surprised? Yes. The party took a position.
Were you surprised that did you also see her on TV that she just arrived at Parliament?
No, you see, that was up to her, and actually now that's what would turn into an element of indiscipline.
But so, are you taking disciplinary action against her?
You see, now that is the party.
I know maybe you want to take a break, but to me, I think EALA should really be a point for analyzing the FDC over the last maybe 1 year. You know, and I hope you are doing a lot of really soul searching. Yes. Because right from the word go, there was a debate as to whether you are going to go for the elections. Yes. And you clearly stated that the rules, the ground was not level, you want a new electoral commission, blah, 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 and you still went for those elections. Yes. And you ended up saying the election has been stolen, not for the first time. Then you said, this is our government. It has been stolen, and we are basically government in waiting or government outside the State House, and you would not almost participate in anything that is fraudulent by the other side. But of course now, up to EALA, you are seeing progressively, you have gone back on your commitments not to participate. So to me, EALA is just the last chapter almost to say, you even knew that you are going to have no chance. Unfortunately, I'm not saying this time that the election was rigged, but I think maybe acknowledging that the NRM has really taken control.
Squeezed you out of.
And you realize, how will you survive in that context now?
Could you respond to that after
how will you survive?
We'll be right back. Will the Forum for Democratic Change survive the post-EALA storm, where it presented 2 candidates and both of them lost? And this is the second time that the Forum for Democratic Change, which is Uganda's biggest opposition party, is losing out representation at its African, at the regional legislative body. And we have Paul Muiru, his deputy spokesperson of the FDC, and he's also a former member of parliament for Jinja Municipality East. And I must mention again that he lost the election, petitioned court, and won the court petition, but is awaiting because there's been an appeal, though the court had ordered that he goes back to parliament immediately.
So it's yes, like the incoming MP for Jinja.
Look, you're concluding something.
Yeah, I'd also miss the critical argument that FDC had presented, the P10 power. And basically, people thought if this election was going to be stolen, you are going to rise across the country, and the dictatorship, as you defined it, would not have a chance. So these are permutations that now you have to try and explain and say, are people believing you are
But Mr. Nafito, politicians make statements. President Museveni came here proclaiming a lot of high-flying ideas and ideals, and they continue to come up with all sorts of programs, which don't essentially translate into reality.
At least he never said that he did not want to be in power.
Okay,
so I think
let me change my question. Let me change my question to you as you respond also to the issues that, because Onapito is highlighting for you a number of issues that have come out from your party that you haven't, some of them you haven't lived up to, which highlight that you're actually having some internal issues. Just before we took the break, I asked you a question. Were you surprised that Ingrid Kamateneti Turinawe arrived at Parliament? or did you also just see him on TV after your president had said, we have a position, and now that it's clear we're going to have one slot, we have one candidate? Were you surprised?
Of course, I would say I was surprised because she formed part of the management meeting. And she was pretty aware, and even the party president talked to her on phone about what the decision of the party.
So what did her presence in parliament and her campaign in parliament mean for you as a party?
You see, actually, let me say this, that FDC is post-EALA, because even after whatever happened, we sat as an organization. We took responsibility of whatever happened and focus on taking power. And they actually...
That's what you're telling us.
Yes.
What we're hearing as journalists is that actually the party, the split in the party is even growing wider. That EALA has tied into your upcoming elections for a party president in November. And that lines have been drawn between supporters of incumbent Major General Muntu and his erstwhile rival, Secretary General Nandala Mafabe. Nandala Mafabe apparently is aligned to your former president, founding president, and former presidential candidate, Dr. Kiza Besigye. Muntu is out in the wilderness on his own. Could you explain that? Is that what you call a journalistic waffle?
No, in fact, the Youth League has already given General Muntu an ultimatum to leave before the elections.
You see, the beauty is whatever we are doing, you are saying you have heard, and now I am telling you.
We're also hearing from you. So even when you're telling us, we're also hearing.
And we take what you say with a pinch of salt, being a spokesman.
You see now, no, don't understand. Now I'm telling you that actually, first, I want to say that whatever transpired about EALA is in the past. That one I've already said it. We have people took up responsibility of whatever happened, and now we have moved to another.
Who has taken responsibility?
Whoever was involved.
Who?
Because I told you, Madame Ingrid had a role to play, which you have just
Have you taken that to the disciplinary committee?
Actually, now that is up to the party, and I think at the end of the day,
have you taken that to the disciplinary committee?
Actually, the way the committee works, the party spokesman doesn't complain. If a member of a party complain, or if the party at its next sitting agrees to actually take it in that direction.
You're telling our viewers that people have taken responsibility.
Yes.
What kind of responsibility have people taken, and who are those people?
Actually, maybe let me say it this way: that when actually we had the meeting, we looked at the mistakes which may have been done in the management of that small issue, and of course everybody said, look, maybe this would have been avoided. But because the objective of FDC is to take power, not only to concentrate on taking EALA, we have to look, if there were mistakes, let whoever was involved own up on the mistakes.
So did you identify whoever was involved? What you call whoever? Did you identify who is that whoever?
You see, that one I've said that a party took a decision to have one candidate. And a person, someone went and got and remained in the race. You actually understand. To me, that is what actually.
So are you taking, as a party, are you taking disciplinary action against what you call whoever?
As of now.
And what kind of disciplinary action are you taking against those
As
people?
of now, we haven't considered.
You haven't considered?
No, we haven't.
So how can you then tell our viewers and us in this studio that actually you have moved beyond the EALA?
We have moved beyond the EALA because EALA is just one of the front. But the struggle.
Mr. Mwiru, a senior member of the party, such as Ms. Ingrid Trinao, who is your Secretary for Mobilization, defying a party president is a very serious transgression on your code of discipline.
Yes.
You can't just gloss over it.
You see, actually, I think I need to explain this. You see, in any organization, there must be a disciplinary committee. And actually now this is one of the challenges which actually we are moving to address as a party. That now I'll give an example. Even here you have seen Mwangusha. If he wants information, he doesn't call the party president, the party spokesperson. He has people he calls to give actually information.
Every journalist does that.
To me, in myself, of course now...
Because officials will take us where you have been taking us over the last 30 minutes.
You see,
trying to romanticize.
Trying to romanticize.
No, that would mean that actually, you have the way people actually are misbehaving. But in any organization like FDC, which is growing, you have seen NRM, they try to take disciplinary action against the rebel MPs, but end up also settling the same matter out of court. What are we doing? That we appreciate, and all our supporters, that one of the things affecting our performance, actually, it is purely indiscipline. So that is one area which we promise to work on as a political party, but you know, we want actually to do it so it does not look like to be targeting an individual in a particular way.
Let me expand your list a little bit. On where I'm seated now, I was seated there. We had Odongaoto.
Yes.
No, he actually sat on this chair because Ona sat on the other side. Odongaoto. And he declared, if FDC is behaving like this, we are walking out. We, leaders of FDC from Northern Uganda, have decided we're walking out. We have had other members of your party speak. I just remember the other day, there was a senior party member, a former member of parliament, called Michael Chula. Michael Chula was actually prosecuted, accused of murder, together with Ronald Reagan Okumu, for the murder of Bongomin, somebody called Bongomin. Court acquitted them. He lost his parliamentary seat. And we're told then the NRM fought him to lose his seat. The other day, the president, who is also chairman of the National Resistance Movement, is releasing a list of ambassadorial appointments. And who do we have on the list? Michael Chula. Members have been leaving your party. We haven't seen corresponding numbers of people joining the party, at least senior people joining the party. And you're trying to convince us, you say, no, our house is in order. We have some turbulence, but we have gone over the turbulence.
Actually, once you contest as an independent, or you contest in another political party, you cease being our member.
No, he did not
so
contest in
for
another
instance,
party.
No, Honorable Chula contested in NRM. Actually, he was a flag bearer.
No, that is this election.
In
Previously,
this election.
when he lost,
In
he lost as an FDC flag bearer.
Actually, in the previous election, he had also lost being a member of FDC by virtue of contest as an independent. Because, yes, because you see, in FDC, if you are a party member and you contest as an independent, then you cease being a member.
Yeah, but you see,
for you to join, you must apply.
The
so in any case, we have no control over someone who has left.
Paul, the substance of Chelsea's question, which you're dodging, is you losing more membership than you're gaining. I think it's something you can't just.
You see, for instance, I will actually give an example. Just like the way my brother, Honorable Ekman, was saying, you know, he was talking, you opposition people, it would look like maybe we are specially created by God to come and be in the opposition. It is a duty of any right-thinking member of society to see that to join us, and then we put the country back on track.
No, we're seeing a lot of trouble in the opposition. Let me tell you, the Democratic Party, we've been hoping that we'll get Mao to come here, and maybe we'll get him to come here. People out there, and us as journalists asking the question, if the party chairman is appointed a deputy ambassador, another party member, another party member, Mukasa Mbide, is aided by the ruling party to retain his seat in EALA. You're wondering, where is the difference between Florence Nachiwala-Chinji, who is appointed a minister, and Mukasa Mbide, who is helped by the party actively, including meetings taking place, to join the NRM? The NRM is the one who was calling it, I think, before, was talking about it before he came on air. An attempt at creating some kind of government of national unity by the National Resistance Movement, where you have UPC, you have DP, you have FDCs in trouble.
Oh, actually, maybe
isn't the opposition in actual turmoil?
Actually, now let me say this. President Museveni has reduced the entire country, has put the country in the survival mode. You understand? And when the country goes into the survival mode, we are looking towards men and women of goodwill who should respect because we see when God creates us, He creates us for a purpose.
If the country is in survival mode, where President Museveni has put it, is FDC in a fighting mode?
You see, now it is the duty of all right-thinking members, men and women of this country, to come and join FDC. So to put back the country on track.
People are walking out. People are walking. People are telling you they're walking out.
And the house is on fire. The challenges. You see, of course, that's an imagination. Because I'll give an example to respond to what my friend had even raised there about a supposed petition. We haven't received it as a party because you see, for us,
it's been declared on cameras.
Yeah, but we haven't received it because at least I've also read about it in the social media. And when you see the person signing, you see signs as the chairman of a constituency. Of course, you can't rule out also being used by the regime. So for us, if there are legitimate issues any member of FDC raises, to us it is legitimate. As a party, we can deal. We can create a forum to discuss those issues. So now you don't expect me now to start commenting on a document of that nature, which actually is not actually yet with us.
Charles, I think just going beyond the FDC, for the opposition in general, of course their supporters are, I mean the FDC supporters are watching us, and they must be in a crisis. They must be in a crisis because, of course, some of them really genuinely believe this time change was taking place, and they were sure change would take place, and we shall force change, and then it has not happened. So what's the direction now for them, you know? And they see the leaders sort of taking care of themselves, which is a genuine challenge for leaders. They must, I think one lesson in all this is you must build not just political capital, you must build the ability of your leaders to sustain themselves economically. And also maybe we have to realize that politics is not for, opposition politics in particular is not going to be easy if you don't have means. Because
I'll ask you a question. Why people on those who have gone and not focus on us who have actually remained?
No, because you are now a minority. That's what we admire you, but you're minority. No? You're minority. So to me, I think that's really the challenge. And then, of course, there is a debate. Is it time to compromise, or you still must defy? But
I think
is there a chance?
Even in the church,
is there even a chance for
you would rather have a church with a few members who are full of Christ than actually having full church when people have no Christ in them? Because similarly, so
and from a pure, from a pure academic point of view, one may argue that is there actually a chance that outside the NRM that you can have a change of political or change of government? I mean, maybe the NRM is truly now a colossus that will have to wait for its time to split. No, that's when there will be a change, because it has appropriated a lot of human political capital, and it's continuing to suck in. So the opposition is, even people are trying to find ways of, like maybe the EALA scenario was real about how do I survive as an individual. That's why nobody was willing to listen to leadership. People were taking care of themselves. Yeah.
And I think the other issue, which you shouldn't, you focus on who has gone. For instance, I'll give an example. The faces you have talked about, because they are identical, there's name recognition, you focus on them. But you have no data on how many have left NRM. Because you see the difference, that even those who live in NRM, either are held in there for some reasons of survival, they have a contract, they have very many other things. So it is also fallacious for you to focus on those who, the few individuals on our part. Because you see, this is not my struggle. This is the people's struggle. I'm a mere icon of the struggle. So for you to think, actually, that you see, I am the struggle. That you see, once Muiru leaves, therefore there is no struggle.
We are not thinking, we are just analyzing. This is
the people out there actually understand that people must work for the Uganda we want. I'll give an example. When Mr. Antege Sebagara, the former mayor, when he would move around town, there would be jam. You understand? Because everybody, even artists, to see him. When we moved away from the values we believe in, one time I met him around Parliament Avenue Cafe, and it was just moving alone. Nobody was bothered. So what does this take us to? But what do we need from the public? What we need from is courage and support as we are trying to deal with the internal contradiction within these political parties. Because I'll talk for FDC. There are mechanisms to deal with all these internal mechanisms. Even as we have been moving, people are still held up into the individual merit type of politics. Even as of today, people have not understood that actually they are political parties. That's why you realize that an organization takes a decision through an organ of the party, and an individual comes and says, "Look, I don't agree with what that organization has done." That's why I respect one man called Bamwenda Tuterebuka, he was our deputy secretary for publicity in FDC. When General Muntu became the party president, or they also said, look, I don't believe in your method of work, and therefore I'm not willing to continue serving as such. So he resigned. What does that mean? That you see,
still a member of the party?
Yes, he's a supporter of FDC, but said, I'm not willing to serve. I don't want to cause contradictions. In a organizational, in a corporate governance, if there is a situation where a leader comes in and says, this is the direction I want this organization to take, you either take that direction with him or you don't. At the end of it all,
a very good example.
you can hold him to account.
How many people lacked the courage of Toterebuka Bamwenda and decided to stay, purposefully either to disorganize Muntu or have continued the internal disagreements which you're calling now journalistic warfare, which we are reporting because things are spilling out of your house. That's on fire.
Okay, now let me say this. But you see, actually, I'll give an example. When you move out, I'll give an example of my mother. When I went home, I questioned in a very simplistic way that what is this I'm hearing? You understand? Meaning,
so it's not just journalists asking you a question.
No, I'm
including your mother.
Why? Because
we are hearing.
Yes, I am coming. What is we are hearing?
That is not
until
parental warfare.
Until I explain to her that actually what you are hearing is not actually the way it is, and I gave her the right version.
You blame the journalists again.
No.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. We'll pick this up. From journalistic warfare to parental warfare. I'm just absolutely enjoying this with Honorable Paul Muiro discussing what he calls turbulence within the Forum for Democratic Change. And the question is, will FDC survive the post-EALA storm? Now, a quick one. Paul Muiro, you're preparing for an election in November.
Yes.
Well, it's a good thing that you're preparing for this election well ahead of time. But what kind of party are you taking to that election, given that you are yet to recover from a fallout from a similar election in 2012, 5 years ago?
Actually, very surprised that you forgot that we are the presidential internal competition also within FDC. Actually, the competition within the political party as FDC, and actually now that's the difference between FDC and other political parties, that internally we compete. The one who wins, wins, and the one who loses, loses. And if there are issues arising out of that, actually they are actually addressed. What are we going to do? We are moving towards another phase of internal democracy within FDC. And what that one is going to mean, that of course I know that the leadership, which is apparently there, must account to its electorates and say, ever since you handed over power to me, this is what has been achieved, these are the challenges, and this is how we have overcome them, or these are what we have not what we have failed to overcome. So it is going to be incumbent upon the delegates again to listen to the number of candidates we shall have and ensure that actually they either return the one who was or direct another person. That is the decision of the delegates.
My question was, what kind of party are you taking to those elections?
Actually, a unified party, to the extent that whenever there have been a contradiction, they have been addressed. The divergence in approaches within the party, to me, to maybe form part of the campaign.
How many of the 36 members of parliament that you have actually contributing their share, their part to running the party like you have been doing over the last few years?
Apparently, I don't have that information on the fingertip.
Not everybody is contributing.
But I think I can tell you that even independents who actually are FDC are also contributing.
But the fact the fact is, members of parliament elected on the FDC ticket, not all the 36 are contributing.
Now, that is a statement of opinion. I would be in position to comment about it.
Can you dispute it?
Of course, apparently I have to dispute it, unless maybe I'm given an opportunity. Yes, I don't have the facts.
So you can't dispute it you can't dispute it off cuff.
But though I have no fact they say that they are not contributing. I don't have that information.
Do you have information that everybody is contributing?
And actually, that's what it's supposed to be. And in as far as we are concerned, there's no such a contrary
but you see,
report
Charles,
from the party.
I like Honorable Muiru's idea that they are concentrating on taking power. And I don't think electing a new president necessarily will help you take power, because it's just that is almost cosmetic. You know, you need something that truly not only shakes the perception within the FDC, but also the perceptions within the NRM about the FDC. Because look, I think if you look at the Kenyan example, which is our closest neighbor, the way the Odingas and the Kibakis, and even up to now, they keep on, they move away from the political parties and they create some kind of electioneering machinery that creates new excitement, you know, and tries to allow even people from the opposition to join. But the fixation with the party as such, which NRM smartly most of the time doesn't get fixated with the party. It gets fixated with how to win the election. So I think unless if you address the issue of how to win the election, you can have whatever party it won't take you.
And actually, that is also one other issue which I think I should actually address. You see, the political history of the country, it has led people in Uganda focus more on managing power than taking power. And that's why the approach of the things we do internally in FDC is to create confidence actually in the population that we have the capacity to manage power. Yes, simply because when you go to the village, the people say, look, we went through this by an individual. And the approach we are trying to front as FDC, we manage on take and even managing power. Because it is very, very important. Because if people don't see in you the capacity, I'll actually give an example. That if people undermine their own party, the party takes decisions, you say you are not accepted. Whom do you think should be attracted to such a political party? The other day you're getting in another. That's why in FDC we have concentrated so much in addressing the internal contradictions within FDC. So by the time we go out to the public, actually they are very sure that these guys, they mean well, they can manage power. They have had internal commission within their own political party, because all over the world.
And that's actually, I'll give an example. That's the question I'm putting to you.
Yes.
That's the question I'm putting to you. Mubarak Manyagwa is one of your newest and youngest members.
Yes.
He declared the parliament when you're appointing members to lead committees of parliament.
Yes.
I have not seen or heard any disciplinary action taken against him in the party.
Yes.
Ingrid Turinawe the other day, you haven't told us whether you're actually taking any steps to discipline her, if you have decided to discipline her at all.
Yes.
Other members, Odonga Oto, made statements in public, including on this show, about the party. I haven't heard if the party has capacity to actually discipline him or if it's willing to discipline him. Now, what kind of confidence are you demonstrating to Ugandans that if you were to win power, you can manage it?
Actually, let me say this. You saw Honorable Munyagwa when they had just been elected. And of course, one would even give us maybe there was no even induction at that time, because people had become new leaders and members of parliament. Have you seen him again behaving the same way?
36 members of parliament?
36 no.
Surely?
The point I'm telling you, the Honorable Munyagwa, with his statement which he made, when actually he had just come in, I want you to tell me that actually thereafter he behaved in the same way, because also
so you intended to discipline him?
No. Actually, let me tell you, disciplinary action doesn't mean necessarily actually putting someone into the committee. We have senior members within FDC, and that's the way also.
So you cancelled him?
We even cancel them.
And rehabilitate.
We even actually cancel them, and because you see, it is our duty to use our political party to build leadership, to build the cadre, and people understand that actually this is the way to go.
Okay, let me ask our producers to put the number up. If you could help us put the number up, and people can call in if you're watching the show and you'd like to comment or ask a question. I'm told there are people who know the number and actually are already calling. So can we pick a caller? Hello? Do you have a caller line? Hello? 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 I think that one is not ready. Can we pick another number, another caller?
I think they have understood.
Moiro believes you have understood. Do you have a caller? Let's carry on the discussion if callers come. Yes, Ivan.
I think it's important for us as the fourth estate to interrogate the processes and contradictions and the thought patterns in the FDC and any other opposition party. But my own belief is that we need to actually ask ourselves if we are being obsessed with an idealistic situation where opposition parties function as normally as they would in a functioning democracy. If you look at the African continent, countries that have dictatorial regimes, Uganda, Rwanda, go to North Africa, go to West Africa, how political parties behave, specifically opposition parties, and how they become victims of a larger-than-life ruling party is uniform. Look at MDC in Zimbabwe. Once Morgan Tsvangirai crossed to work with ZANU-PF and work with Mzee Robert Mugabe, that essentially was the end point for MDC in Zimbabwe. So the characteristic is usually there is every attempt by the regime to ensure that there is no such thing as a vibrant opposition. And it's not even out of political smartness, but essentially because there's no respect for rules, there's no commitment to democratic processes.
In his first press conference after winning the latest round of elections, President Museveni openly said he was going to wipe out opposition.
Yeah, exactly, and that's how.
Would you say he's succeeding?
I think maybe to answer what my brother Ivan is raising, I think what he's raising has no applicability to FDC for a reason. When Dr. Kizza Besigye was the party president, and we all worked to support Dr. Kizza Besigye, and people thought that actually there was no difference between FDC and Dr. Kizza Besigye. We kept on telling them that the strength of FDC is the aggregate strength of the individuals within FDC. When Dr. Kizza Besigye left and actually retired and was the party president, people thought the party actually would actually phase out. We did not. And actually, we only came back to find a well-mobilized political party in the circumstance and in the condition in which we apply, and then he became our candidate. That's why we're actually addressing exactly that. That you see, I'll give an example. For us, we are young people. We have committed ourselves to this struggle. But we want to build something which actually is not about General Mugisha Muntu or Dr. Kizza Besigye. Though I will admit that there are also other people who think that this struggle is about those individuals. And if you told them that, look, as young people, we need to put up something very different, which we'll be looking at, so that when the public has confidence in it and say, look, this is different from NRM, this is different from this.
Yeah, but my point is,
okay, we have some caller. Let's pick the caller. Hello.
Yes, good evening. My name is Joseph Oscar. I'm calling from Tinder.
Yes, Joseph, go ahead with your question or comment.
Yes, I think you're being a little bit hard on Honorable Will. There's no real structural storm in the FDC. I think it's just a pure failure of spin. They don't have spin doctors. You see, there's this narrative that there's an opposition in parliament. But the reality is that there's actually no opposition in this parliament. There are MPs who support the NRM, who may even seek to dislodge the NRM from its path of funny governance. But there are no opposition MPs. Every decision in parliament that comes to a vote cannot be reached without the endorsement of the NRM. And this is a fact because of the number. So the so-called opposition, they have no capacity to drive an agenda that undermines the NRM. So what the FDC is now facing is a spin failure. They do not know how to convince the public that the path to power that they have chosen requires a reappraisal of where the real anchors of power lie. And they are not really addressing those anchors of power. It's a huge, huge task to actually perform an appraisal that exposes the path that you have actually taken is fatally wrong. So they are not, we use political party in a very expansive term in this country. But for the structure, the political structure that the FDC has adopted to call a political party, they are strong, and they probably, it will not even affect the challenge for power come the next electoral cycle. But they have a challenge of spinning it, and they need to reappraise whether or not the actual path to power that they have chosen is fundamentally correct if they actually want to win this power.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Thank you so much. Do we have another caller? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
We can hear you. If you could turn down the volume on your TV set and then talk to us.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, I'm called Omoding.
Omoding, where are you calling from?
Yes, I'm called Omoding from Kireta.
Yes, please go ahead with your question or comment.
Yes, today I'm called from Kireta.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
From Kireta.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead. Omoding, turn down your TV set, the volume on your TV set. We're getting feedback in studio. Let's pick another caller. When you call back, please turn down, when you call through, when the call goes through, just turn down the volume on your TV set. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Bali. I'm called Stephen.
Yeah?
I'm called Stephen from Bali.
Yeah, from Bali. Go ahead.
Yes. Now, I would like that interaction there on TV.
Thank you.
But I allowed that gentleman with the T-shirt. He has stood really a lot of questions from those gentlemen. But my problem with Mr. Onapito.
Yes.
Mr. Onapito has been a very vibrant person who has been criticizing the government and so forth. Does he want a job? His brother who is in parliament or what?
He'll speak for himself. Thank you very much.
These days he talks like a woman, he's very humble. And he wants a job or what?
Thank you, Stephen. Honor will respond to you. Let's pick another caller. Hello? Hello?
Yes?
Yes, we can hear you. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello? Your name and where you're calling from, sir?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
This is Apollo in Zana.
Apollo in Zana. Go right ahead with your question or comment.
You must know that political parties dissolve issues. And FDS has no turmoil in it. It is solving issues, and don't compare it. In fact, it's much better than NRM. Simply because NRM uses force of the police, force of the army, force even of the mass media. Right? On a Twitter is doing. In fact, he's an agent of NRM. So please, Paul, move ahead. Ask the moderator to give you time to explain issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Apollo in Zana. Do you have another caller? Hello? 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 Hello?
How are you?
Good, how are you? Your name and where are you calling from?
This is Joy calling from Entere.
Yes, Joy, go right ahead with your question or comment.
Yeah, I'm just appreciating the way Honorable Muir is presenting himself.
Is that all?
Yes.
The way Honorable Muir is presenting himself.
Thank you very much, Joy.
Wow.
Wow, okay.
We need to investigate.
You're asking.
Thank you very much.
If I had something else, wanted me to do.
Joy, thank you very much, Joy, for because we get very few female callers on the show. So I want to appreciate Joy making the time, watching the show, and calling us. I know there are many listening in. Gentlemen, you listened in. Let's first give an opportunity to Honor to respond, because
the agent of the enemy.
Respond to Jerry, Stephen in Mbale, and to Apollo in Zana.
Yeah, I think these are very legitimate views. Our caller from Mbale. Of course, when you talk about political parties in this country, the passions are quite strong, and you can understand that people may not necessarily agree with your opinion. So that's his opinion, and I don't disagree with him, and I don't want him to agree with me.
A manifestation of the freedom of speech. That
yeah, I mean, this is why
your former boss
absolutely
into this country.
You allow people to, and he suggested that it's only women who sort of come about the NRM, but that's an opinion. But I think also more seriously, it means that one should really try to take a position, on these issues. You can't be everywhere on them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But you can understand the passions are very strong.
Paul Mwiro. The callers are there.
Thank you. I think what I want to...
But the guy declared me unemployed.
You said you're looking for a job.
Yeah, but look, and there it's all politics is about leadership, and also it is about a job. And I think part of the crisis is actually that people want jobs. There's unemployment in this country, and there's even bigger unemployment within the political actors. They want to serve, they want the jobs.
Okay, let me just add these messages before you respond. Nteja Simwe says the main cancer, not only to opposition but in the entire political arena, is the greed for money, which the president calls careerist politicians. Charles, the scramble you're seeing is not about serving Ugandans. It is about how do I share the crumbs of whatever is available. That's Nteja Simwe. Then there is a very long one from Joseph Nwabine, who says, to me, I see nothing new about what happened in the EALA elections. The problem with FDC is that it's suffering from the infamous hubris syndrome, which is a behavior disorder that is characterized by overwhelming pride, inflated sense of self-importance, and contempt for others. FDC is paying for its own political sin of taking itself as the only opposition party. And if it doesn't do soul-searching and self-reflection, it will collapse. Please respond.
Thank you. First, I want to thank the callers and say that, of course, there are challenges within FDC, which we shall deal with as a party. We have the capacity to deal with them. We are past EALA, and there's no storm in FDC. There's turbulence, which actually we have been positioned to move on and take the party. And I think maybe what I want to explain, I think for the benefit of everybody, that it's not that the indiscipline of particular individuals can only be handled by a disciplinary committee. The party president and the party took a decision to engage at this, but I think there must be also a time for cut-off, where members who are indisciplined are actually referred to the disciplinary committee. But as I conclude, I want to say, as FDC, we are focusing on and even managing power, unless we create an impression in the minds of all Ugandans that we are different from all these other political parties. I think there will be a problem. And this, my colleague Asimwe, of course, there's nothing apparently for us in FDC. Nobody pays me a salary or pays anybody salary in what actually we are doing. We think we are offering leadership to the country because there's a call for being on duty for every right-thinking member of society. Then, yes, I want to agree on this. There was someone who sent the message last. That if we don't change the behavior disorder as a political party and society, but most of these people who elect into leadership come from society. So the way they come, actually, you should even be praising us that we are very tolerant, because you see.
And you're molding them into.
Yes, actually, we are actually molding them into leaders.
Thank you.
You send them the way.
Let me take a message. I don't know if I have permission to mention the name of the person who sent this message, but it's a fairly long one. Says, Charles, thanks for the debate tonight, but how can we really spend so much time on FDC and EALA when the country is smoldering. Whatever happens to FDC cannot be judged without looking at the failure of the gunmen who have turned themselves into plunderers and looters of a national economy. We should ask FDC whether if it took power today, it would economically turn around the economy and improve the fortunes of the country. How does it plan to stop corruption? And how is it ready to create a democratic environment through which opposition parties would thrive without using state resources to buy them? If you're okay with me mentioning your name, please send me a message and say it's okay, I can mention your name, and I'll be happy to. But Ivan, let me come to you. As we bring this to an end, there are issues in FDC. What do you see? What kind of FDC do you see heading into those November elections? They have enough time to correct a few things internally, but from what you're seeing now, Independent wrote an article basically saying FDC is falling apart. Observer wrote an article saying FDC is in a pot of trouble. My colleague Gak Chigambo in the East African wrote an article raising the same issues, how the post-EALA election has.
I think given their source of information, I think maybe I need to make a right.
No, the sources of information in all the articles that Charles has cited actually quite credible, including WhatsApp groups where your senior party officials are exchanging fire and insulting each other and exiting groups and all these things. So we can debate the substance of the content therein. But Charles, for me, the fate of FDC shall be determined more by who contests against General Mugisha Muntu. If you have Nandala Mafabi coming in the ring, he's not yet been so categorical on whether he will contest for the presidency or not. That is essentially going to take FDC back to where it came from. The last time that makes the assumption that General Muntu will be on the ticket. Yes, he's not indicated that he will be on the ticket. He won't be on the ticket, and for a politician that is as good as confirming he'll be on the ticket. So depending on whether Mafabi stands or not, I think FDC should be able to pull through. But I personally think FDC, with the challenges that they have, it's extremely difficult for you to turbulence, the turbulence language. It's extremely difficult. Muiro has guided us. It's extremely difficult for you to have and to even build a potent opposition party in any African dictatorship. You're going to have people who are going to be blue during the day and yellow at night. You're going to have business interests of your senior members stifled by the regime. It's extremely difficult and it comes at a very high cost. You're going to find it extremely difficult to raise the requisite number of members of parliament because it's even highly risky for you to run as a woman MP on the FDC ticket or to run for LS5 chairperson on FDC ticket. So with all those constraints that are heaped at them, I think FDC by far has demonstrated resilience. They've demonstrated tenacity. They've demonstrated the ability to somersault over some of these challenges, but also to deal with the contradictions that arise, some of which, of course, are coming from people who pee from Plot 10 Chadondo Road.
Yeah, and I think...
Or Plot 1 Nakasero.
Or Plot 1 Nakasero.
To their credit, it's really about the leaders. I think the two main contenders for leadership FDC, that's Kizza Besigye and General Muntu, have, of course, over and again demonstrated that they can kind of go at each other, but then reassemble. And maybe because they are sort of seem to have overcome the main challenge of most opposition actors, that is settling for anything other than the ultimate price. I think for both of them, they have decided nothing else matters other than getting the presidency. But of course, it depends how much they can carry other people with them. That sometimes you can be determined, but other people can push your hand.
Yes, the country has been waiting for so long to see a major face join the FDC. Yes, you tried to dismiss it, but we wrote headlines. The same journalists you accuse of journalistic warfare wrote headlines whenever there was a major defection to the FDC. Why you don't want us to write when there is a major defection out of the FDC and tell us about the masses that are joining, I can understand in your position maybe. But heading into the election, is it likely that we'll see a major name, a recognizable face, walk over and say, I am going to be working with the FDC?
You see, I think I answered that. I said that President Museveni has able to put the country in the survival mode. The other time when we were under the umbrella of TDA, we got the big fish, whom one would call the former Vice President, Professor Gilbert Baseka, Bukenya. He came on board. He only used the board as a bargaining chip, and then later he turned back. So I think
with all due respect, he was coming from prison. He was not coming from
a big fish or a high-profile spy.
So in as far as actually that is concerned, I think I can only answer that by saying that, you see, it is up to the big fish to know that this is their country. The country is sinking. They cannot actually only look at us and say, look, we are not single people allowing us to come on. But that is going to be incumbent upon how we organize as FDC. Because you see, it is not also automatic that whoever leaves NRM joins the FDC. You must create an atmosphere within FDC so that people say that actually this
are you creating that atmosphere?
That is what we are working out as FDC. And when you see us concentrating on having internal cohesion within FDC, so that will even make my brother Honorable Ekumulate, who is seated on the fence, you realize that actually now I think this is their home.
How did you realize that you were sitting on the fence?
Of course, I saw his rejoinder now.
No, look,
after the call.
Please, just hold on. I cannot be influenced by any call. I'm not into defending myself because I've seen these things over and over. The point is, I give credit where it's due. But if you want my genuine opinion, just hold on. There will not be a political change in this country brought about by what you call the opposition currently. It will only happen within the NRM.
Okay, I respect your opinion, but I want to summarize by saying that, you see, people, for instance, have been longing to see us just running around. But you see, you cannot run around when you have no internal cohesion within the party. Even if I was the one, and I saw you people, yours is not in order, I can't join in the fire. That's why when you see the party president saying, look, guys, we need to work on internal cohesion within the party, so that we build the party, because automatically, you know, you read Karl Marx, you know the idea of class. Because see, once the Onapitos come, Onapito has the following. Once another person come on board after realizing that actually these guys are serious, that's what will happen. But and I want
is
to
the party president being listened to?
You see, the party
are you listening to him?
The party president is being, actually, let me tell you this. FDC does not act by an individual. FDC has organs, and all decisions...
Are the organs functional?
The organs are functional, and all issues to do with FDC have been resolved within the organ. What we have
you had a very interesting meeting. Did it resolve anything?
Yes.
The midweek meeting.
Which one?
The meeting you had this last week, on Tuesday. What did you resolve?
You see, not all issues. Actually, the first instance...
No, was it like a functional organ of the party working?
You see,
would you describe that meeting as a functional organ of the party?
Actually, to start with, it is not the culture of organizations that when you have a meeting, I come and tell you, it was not even privy to the information what we discussed.
You didn't watch TV?
No,
you didn't watch TV. Your members giving interviews, including this one.
On which
on that meeting? You didn't watch.
Special on what? Special on what?
on the fire that was inside the house.
Actually, my only encouragement would be, even to the fourth estate as a media, that you also have a duty to report correct information.
Yes, we do.
Because you see, if at all you pick that information, you would have had the courtesy to cross-check either from the party president or from the party spokesperson or from myself, the deputy. So that's the authenticity. Because you see,
you mean
when you don't do that,
if you took government, if you were to run government, that's how you would align everybody. Everybody must be in line.
Actually, in my opinion, the media can say to move towards self-censorship. If they so wish, for one reason.
Is that the kind of
for one reason, I am one person who respects the media as a force. That's why even we are even here. As we are here, I know that you have accorded us an opportunity and you are playing your role to advance the issue, how our country should be managed. Because this is our country. I've never dreamt of going to exile. So you have a duty to know that actually what you report actually is accurate. I have no problem with people picking information.
You can dispute our facts.
But you know, even investigative journalism require that you cross-check. It does not harm.
We do.
And actually, you know yourself that whenever you have called me to respond, even you called me to be here, and I am here.
Yes.
So I think...
No, we appreciate it. So our time is up. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ivan Okuda. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Paul
Charles. I
Muiru.
didn't know Paul Muiru is a very good spin doctor.
Thank you very much, Founder Peter Comrade. And thank you very much to you all.
Who called was saying they don't have a spin.
Thank you very much to you all our viewers for joining us tonight, and always, and especially those of you who called in, and the many who are trying to call through the line and you couldn't come through. Apologies for that, but thank you very much for tuning in and listening, and especially to Joy. We encourage more ladies to watch the show, follow politics actually, and discuss politics, and call us and give us your feedback. Thank you very much also to the production crew that stay up this late to deliver the show to you. From me, have a good night.